Five, four, three, two, one, zero. Liftoff.
Well, hello and good morning. Welcome to SpaceExplorer.com's coverage of SpaceX's Starlink satellite launch. My name is Daryl Salce, writer and photographer for SpaceExplorer.com. Joining me here in just a minute, we have Zach Hall, our lead editor for Space Explorer. Again, today we're bringing you coverage of SpaceX's Starlink launch. Now, Starlink is SpaceX's attempt at a satellite internet company, and it involves putting a heck of a lot of satellites into orbit. So that's why they need to launch 60 of them at a time, many times. Now, again, as I said, we're going to be talking to Zach Hall here in just a second. I'm going to ask him to unmute his Zoom call, and we're going to see how things are going with him. Hey, Zach, can you hear me out there?
Hey, yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So, where are you at today, and how awake are you after having to stay up for last night's Delta 4 heavy launch?
Yeah, that's a great question. I got probably the most sleep possible, which is about 4 hours. I'm on the State Road 528. It's kind of a launch meeting area, away from people. So when you're on base, like the last night, you need to wear a mask.
Mm.
Out here, we're really spread out, and so it's nice to be able to not have to do that for a few minutes, and I'll have a pretty good view of the launch, especially like liftoff and watching it, go past the clouds and everything. So I'm looking forward to it. We're not shooting any pictures for this launch. Starlinks are pretty common, and for this one, we're just not equipped to have the best shots. But we are, we get to see it in person, so that's awesome. And then tomorrow night, we should probably have in-person coverage for SpaceX's GPS-3 launch.
Well, cool,
So looking
cool.
forward to it.
So, how you said it's a pretty great spot to view from. There's hardly anybody out there. I'm assuming it's still nice and cool, and it doesn't feel as hot as Florida normally does it?
Yeah, there's an awesome breeze right now. It's really wonderful for a morning. There's some cloud coverage, and like the sun's behind some clouds over there, but it's not too hot at all. And this is kind of the perfect weather for this time of year to see this happen. So looking forward to it. Hopefully, it's kind of funny because this week we had three launches lined up, starting Monday night,
Mm.
and now it's Thursday morning, and we're about to put the first one. And then later tonight at Wallops Island, Northrop Grumman is launching a rocket in like 12 hours, and then just like 4 tons of supplies for cargo supply to ISS. So today could be a busy launch day from the east coast of the U.S.
Oh, it's if not a busy day, it's at least a busy week so far. Last night was a rather disappointing start. Hopefully today helps fix that both this morning and later this evening, which we'll be covering again later this evening. That launch of Antares from Wallops Island, Virginia, happening I believe in the 9 o'clock hour tonight, East Coast time.
Yeah, I
Um,
think 9:30 p.m. Eastern.
right. I constantly have to. I got to think about it for a second because I'm still on Central Time, being here in New Orleans. So,
Yep.
uh,
Yep.
all right. Well, it looks like we're just under 9 minutes away from launch. I'm gonna let you go ahead and get back to hanging out and watching it. Enjoy the show from where you're at, and I'll check in with you again after second engine cutoff.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Talk to you in a bit.
Bye.
Well, folks, as you heard, that's Zach Hall out there. He's got himself a pretty good view out there. If you ever made it out to Florida for a launch before, there's not a lot of bad spots to watch a launch from unless you're, on the other side of the state. So, a little bit about today's launch. Again, it is a Starlink launch. They are launching a batch of 60 Starlink satellites. There are no ride shares on this one. It's just straight up Starlink. They will be attempting to land the booster, and as you can see on SpaceX's live stream, they're talking about it right now. The drone ship is out there in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, ready for a catch. And the pad that it's taken off from is the iconic LC-39A, same pad astronauts left from to go to the moon. and you can see what remains of the old tower from the space shuttle days. SpaceX has kind of taken it over, dressed it up a bit, and looks really sleek and stylish. But today, it has no use. The only time it really gets used is there's a swing arm that comes out, and that's where astronauts get on the Dragon capsule. But we don't have to worry about that today. All we have to worry about is the Falcon 9 booster taking those 60 Starlink satellites up to orbit. And while we have a second, it looks like we're 7 minutes 25 seconds away from launch. I'm going to take a second to talk about our little website. We're so proud of it. SpaceExplorer.com, keeping up with all of the latest news and things like that involving spaceflight and launches. Make sure to bookmark that and check us out. And while you're there, take a look for. I got to make sure I bring up the right one for you. We have ourselves a Starlink tracker made by yours truly. Oh, hang on, let me bring that up again. Oh, well, it wants to act up on me. But yes, we have a Starlink tracker on our website, and it shows you how many. There it is. Shows you how many satellites are in orbit now, how many have come back down, because that's something that Starlinks do every now and again. And we go through the previous launches, how the mission went, just really quick, really succinct. It's supposed to be just a reference that you bookmark, you come back to, say, hey, how many are up there, how many came down, how did this launch go on this date, so on and so forth. So as soon as this mission is completed and is successful, we will hit the update button and have that those new totals updated for you. Going back to the stream, though, it looks like SpaceX is showing off because they are apparently going to be attempting to catch both halves of the fairing again today. Now, what that means is, so that nose cone that's at the top, it's in two pieces, and once the launch vehicle is out of the Earth's atmosphere, it splits apart because you don't need it anymore, and it falls back to Earth. Well, back in the old days, they just let them fall back, hit the ocean, and boom, done with it. Well, SpaceX decided, they're pretty expensive. Let's see if we could start reusing those. So they put parachutes in them, and they have two special. I'm just going to say they're weird looking boats compared to any other boats you've seen out there. But they have giant nets strung up, and the fairing halves, they just parachute down right into the boat. It's still a new process for them. They don't catch them every time. The conditions have to be right for it. But they're going to keep trying because, like I said, they're pricey. They really are pricey. And right now on SpaceX's stream, they're talking about the use of their Starlink internet service and how it's been helpful for firefighters fighting wildfires in the Northwest recently. And it's great to see that this is working and that it's bringing service to folks in times of need just like this. So kudos to them for making that happen. So we're coming up 4.5 minutes away. Right now, weather's go. From what I understand, the launch vehicle is go too. Seems like everything's going to happen. I'm going to back away at about a minute and a half, and let you listen into the final minute of the countdown. I don't know if you're anything like me, but I like hearing those call outs, everything like that. I don't know what it is, but I like hearing it. I know other people like hearing it, so we'll let you listen into stuff. And they're going to try and go as soon as, you hear some kind of mission director or whoever say go for launch. Now, it looks like right now they're about to retract their strong back. That's the big arm that's behind the rocket, and it kind of squeezes and holds on to the rocket at the top to keep it stable and whatnot. But those arms are opening up, and the strong back is about to just lean back a little bit, and you'll see it really fall back a lot right at launch. So they're just getting it partially out of the way now, and then they'll get it really out of the way later. So they're almost done with loading fuel. The thing about SpaceX's launch vehicles is once they start loading fuel, they're committed to going at a certain time. And depending on the conditions of the mission, they can't exactly turn around and do it again in the same day. So if they call a hold for any reason, they probably will not go today. But, ooh, excuse me, that coffee, man. it had to squeeze in sleep where I could after last night's launch that didn't happen. Um, but anyway, yeah, they're loading their propellant right now. You can see the gaseous oxygen venting off and whatnot. As that fuel sits in the tank, it kind of boils off, which boiling off in this case is not really a high temperature. It's still a very, very cold temperature. And, they need to relieve some of that pressure and just keep refilling it. And that's where you see some of those clouds come from. And be ready to see some more big cloud vents coming from the launch vehicle itself, also from the strong back. Because whatever's left in those lines, they're going to open a valve and they're just going to dump it right overboard. I mean, gaseous oxygen, it just oxygen. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. All of that kind of stuff is normal. Even if you could see it right here in the live stream, they're even dumping a little water overboard from that big water tower over there. That water tower, not necessarily for fire suppression, but it's for sound suppression, so that when the rocket fires, it's so loud and putting out so much force that you don't necessarily want that bouncing back up and damaging the vehicle because of those vibrations. So they spray a bunch of water. You'll see a bunch of there's that giant vent right there. You'll see a bunch of water just spray out onto the pad right before launch. That's basically what that is. That's the sound suppression water system activating and helping to protect the rocket from shaking itself apart, basically. So here we are at a minute, just under a minute 20. This is the point where I'm gonna step away and I'm gonna turn up the sound of the stream and let you listen in. We're all gonna listen in together here, and here we go. Let's see if we finally get a launch this week. Well, folks, your the stream did not freeze. That countdown clock did stop at 18. Oh man, here we go again with these launches. Uh,
With the launch team, see what we can learn from this. Again, during this portion of the mission, Falcon 9 is fully autonomous and it's monitoring the health of a number of its systems. So this could be completely normal. But we're going to check in with the teams. And,
This is LB on countdown. We've had an abort to a out-of-family ground sensor reading.
So just heard over the nets that we aborted on an out-of-family ground sensor reading. So a number of ground sensors in the pad area that we use to monitor our ground systems, make sure everything is healthy before launch.
all right, well, I don't know if you heard it in the stream, but SpaceX says they have aborted because they had a sensor problem. It stopped at T minus 18 seconds. So let's while we're waiting to hear a little bit more about what's going on, let's get back in with Zach Hall. I'm gonna ask him to unmute himself again. Um, hey Zach, can you hear me out there? Yeah. So has has everyone else figured out that this maybe ain't happening today?
I don't think so. Well, I think the fact that it's not moving yet is a clue, to folks. But man, yeah.
Yeah. So that's gonna make it 0 for 2 this week.
Yeah.
Not a good way to start this busy week.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
The nature of the Starlink launch is so you kind of there's not really a window, is there?
With Starlink launches, it's kind of a short window, and I don't believe it's small enough to recycle.
Okay.
You know, we listened into the SpaceX's stream for a second to try and listen in what's going on. They had a out of family sensor. It's a little bit of engineering jargon that's a smidge over my head. But basically, a
Yeah.
faulty sensor or a sensor saw something it didn't like and said, "Whoa, stop the show," at T minus 18 seconds. So I think SpaceX is going to take a look at that. We're going to figure out what's going on with it. I'm going to put you back on mute for just a second. We're going to go back to the live stream and see if we can
All
figure
right.
out what's going on with that. Hang tight, Zach. We're going to come back to you in just a second. Um, so yeah, folks, I'm gonna bring the volume back up here. Yes, busted. I am getting it from SpaceX's YouTube, but we're gonna go ahead and try and listen in some more and see if they explain. Are they still gonna attempt today? Probably not, because this kind of thing has happened before on a Starlink launch, and it didn't go same day. So we're gonna hang out a second and see.
Now, as you just heard on the Countdown Nets, or if you're just joining us, we actually had an abort on the pad associated with an out-of-family ground sensor reading. Prior to that, the countdown was proceeding nominally. Now, keep in mind, the purpose of Countdown is to help us catch potential issues prior to flight. There's 1,000 ways that a launch can go wrong, and only one way it can go right. And given that we're overly cautious on the ground, and if the team or the vehicle sees anything that looks slightly off, we'll stop the countdown. Now, overall, the vehicle does appear to be in good health, but that will end our launch attempt for today. Our next launch opportunity is still pending, but we hope you'll join us again for the next attempt. Please keep an eye out on our social media accounts for more information on that.
All right. Well, as you heard, they are not trying again today, so that's gonna do it for them today. SpaceX is working on ending their stream right now, and I guess we're gonna end ours here in a second too. But just before that, let's go back to Zach one more time, who's, uh, you know, just like the rest of us, man. That sucks.
Yeah. It's cool to be here and see everyone come out for the excitement. I mean, when I first got here, I think I was like the second person, and I was probably about, I don't know, in my view, about 20 cars lined up, all spaced apart,
Mhm.
and people are slowly starting to catch up with what just happened. And that's an, I think I've probably seen as many scrubs as launches
Yeah.
in my experience so far.
Well, that's launch life for you.
That's indeed, and hopefully what we look forward to next is Starlink will happen, again. Delta for Heavy will launch probably like the soonest a week from yesterday.
Hmm.
Probably no earlier than. Tonight, the NG-14 mission out of Wallops Island. Hopefully that's a launch so we can like watch a rocket, leave the planet. And then tomorrow, GPS-3 SpaceX mission. So
Yes,
some
and
potential for two launches before the weekend.
yeah, and for those two launches, the GPS-3 and the Antares, we're of course going to be live streaming again. I'll be back hosting
Awesome. Good
again
to hear.
tonight. I'll bring you back on, Zach. If Seth is available later tonight, we'll have him chime in with some stuff.
Excellent. Cool.
It's going to be a good time. Unfortunately, we don't have anybody up there covering it this time. As I said last night, though, Wallops Island, there isn't a lot that happens there right now. But
Yeah, if we have any viewers near Wallops Island, get in touch.
yes, definitely. But we are working on having the Space Explorer team up there for Rocket Lab's first launch. So keep an eye out for that. We don't have an exact date, but when we do, we'll share it with the world and we'll get somebody up there. I'd like to try and go again because it's really pretty up there if you've never been up there
Yeah,
before.
because of COVID-19 restrictions, Wallops Island press was limited to 10 people, which is like 1% maybe of like what you see at Kennedy Space Center right now. So
Jeez.
it was a very small group. So, indeed.
Well, I know of other spots, so
Yes, you do.
yes, I do. So I will try and get to those other spots. All right, Zach, I'm gonna let you go get some more sleep and catch up from last night.
Thank you.
And we're gonna go ahead and get on out of here. So that's gonna do it for us today, folks. For this morning, I should say. SpaceX's Starlink launch did not happen. The launch vehicle said, "Nah, I don't feel like it today." So keep up with us at spaceexplorer.com. Don't forget to bookmark our site and also check out. That's the wrong one that's acting up on me again. Where's it at? Where's it at? Oh, now none of them want to work. Wonderful. Well, let's see. Oh, well, that's live TV for you, folks, or live streaming, I should say. But no, bookmark our website. Follow us on Twitter at spaceexplorer.com. Find us on Facebook under Space Explorer. Keep an eye out for any new posts, anything like that. Keep up with the news. And we'll see you later tonight for the launch of the Antares from Wallops Island, Virginia. Thanks, and have a good morning. See y'all later.